Charlie Kirk was not just another political commentator. He was one of the most visible and influential conservative activists in America, the founder and face of Turning Point USA, a group devoted to mobilizing young conservatives across college campuses. For years, Kirk had been at the center of heated debates about free speech, progressive politics, and culture wars. On September 10, 2025, his life and career came to a shocking and tragic end in Orem, Utah, when he was assassinated while speaking to a crowd of thousands. The day began like many of Kirk's public appearances. Utah Valley University, UVU, was hosting the first stop on his American Comeback Tour, an event structured around speeches and audience debates. Under a white tent set up in the fountain courtyard, banners with phrases like the American Comeback and Prove Me Wrong framed the stage. Around 3,000 people had gathered, ranging from devoted supporters to critical students who came prepared with tough questions. Security was present, but in hindsight, the event was not as tightly controlled as it might have been for such a high-profile figure. At around noon, Kirk took the stage. For nearly 20 minutes, he engaged in the back-and-forth style that had made him a popular figure on the college circuit. Students approached the microphone with questions, some challenging, others sympathetic. One student, later identified as Hunter Kozak, asked Kirk a question that cut straight to the culture war debates Kirk was known for. Do you know how many transgender Americans have been mass shooters over the last 10 years? Kozak asked. Kirk, without hesitation, replied, too many. Kozak pressed further, asking about the total number of mass shootings in the country during that same period. Kirk's final words before tragedy struck were reported as, counting or not counting gang violence? At 12:23 p.m., just as Kirk was responding, a single shot rang out. Eyewitnesses recalled a loud crack echoing across the courtyard. At first, some thought it was a firecracker, but then Kirk collapsed, blood visible at his neck. Panic erupted among the crowd. Some screamed. Others ducked for cover, while a few brave attendees rushed forward to try to help him. Chaos turned into desperation as Kirk was carried quickly to a waiting SUV and rushed toward Empanagas Regional Hospital. Law enforcement and FBI agents began swarming the campus within minutes. It was quickly determined that the shot had been fired from a rooftop of the Losi Center, a building some 200 yards away from where Kirk had been speaking. Surveillance footage and witness statements began piecing together a chilling picture of premeditation. Authorities soon identified their suspect. 22-year-old Tyler James Robinson, a resident of St. George, Utah. He had arrived on campus earlier that morning in a gray Dodge Challenger. Surveillance footage showed him entering stairwells and making his way to the rooftop with a rifle. After the shooting, he vanished from the scene, sparking a manhunt that would last more than a day. The break in the case came when Robinson's parents saw his image in photos released by the FBI. Shocked and horrified, they contacted a retired detective in their Mormon congregation and worked to arrange their son's peaceful surrender. Roughly 33 hours after the shooting, Robinson was arrested without incident. The investigation quickly produced a disturbing trail of evidence. DNA tests tied Robinson directly to the weapon, a bolt-action rifle that had reportedly been gifted to him by his family. His DNA was also found on a screwdriver and a towel wrapped around the rifle at the sniper's perch. Even more damning was a note investigators found, in which Robinson had allegedly written, "I had the opportunity to take out Charlie Kirk, and I'm going to take it." Text messages to his partner painted a clearer picture of his motive. In one exchange, Robinson allegedly confessed to the killing and described his frustration with what he called Kirk's hatred. He also attempted to conceal his tracks, sending messages about hiding or disposing of evidence and urging his partner to delete incriminating conversations. Prosecutors wasted no time in pressing charges. Robinson was charged with aggravated murder, felony discharge of firearm causing serious bodily injury, obstruction of justice, and witness tampering, among other counts. They announced their intent to seek the death penalty, citing aggravating factors, that Robinson targeted Kirk for his political expression, and that children were present during the killing. The assassination sent shockwaves across the United States. Kirk's death was mourned by conservatives nationwide, who hailed him as a martyr for free speech and political courage. His funeral and memorial service drew tens of thousands, including major political figures such as Donald Trump and Vice President J.D. Vance. For many, the event symbolized a dangerous escalation of political violence in America. At the memorial, Kirk's widow, Erica, delivered an emotional speech that drew attention worldwide. In the face of grief, she spoke of forgiveness, even for man accused of murdering her husband. Her words echoed the Christian values she and Kirk shared, and she vowed continuous mission through Turning Point USA, where she was later named CEO. The assassination also sparked broader debates about security, extremism, and political rhetoric. How was a rooftop left unguarded during such a high-profile event? Why weren't stricter security protocols, such as metal detectors, in place? And to what extent had America's climate of polarization and inflammatory speech contributed to creating a killer motivated to act? Meanwhile, investigators continue to dig into Robinson's background. He had no criminal record, no documented history of political extremism, and no known affiliations with radical organizations. But his relationship with a transgender partner, paired with Kirk's outspoken criticism of transgender activism, was seen as a possible factor in his decision to target the activist. Whether this was a primary motive or just part of broader resentment remains an open question. In the months since the assassination, the story has remained a defining moment in America's culture wars. To Kirk supporters, his killing is proof of the rising hostility conservatives face. To others, it is a tragedy that underscores how dangerous political polarization has become. What is certain is that Charlie Kirk's death marked a turning point. A man who built his career on confrontational debates and championing free expression was silenced by a single bullet on a college campus. His widow's forgiveness, the prosecution's push for the death penalty, and the political battles over his legacy ensure that the story of Charlie Kirk's assassination will resonate for years to come.